Hello guys, my name is Urvil and I'm an IELTS trainer. We get a lot of questions from our students and many of these questions are very common. So we are just making a video of all these frequently asked questions so that all the aspirants who are trying to get good bands in IELTS can have an answer to those questions. So let us quickly jump and have a look at frequently asked questions by IELTS aspirants. The first question here is a lot of aspirants would ask, whether I should be giving an IELTS from IDP or British Council. As a person who is given IELTS myself, I really believe that there is no difference in either, because IELTS has a set standards. These are just an organizing body which conduct the examination, so that's about it. So if you're going, this really doesn't make any sense whether you should go for IDP or British Council. It's just people's mentality that they feel that either of is better. They both are equal, so please do not feel that you should go for British Council or IDP and either of them can give you good bands. It's nothing like that. You will get good bands based on your performance, not on where you give examination. Again, another question that we get is, can giving examination in different city impact scores? Well, as I said, it really doesn't matter. I believe a lot of examiners are revolving, so they don't have one place, so the examiners keep shifting from one place to another. So there is a frequency how this happens. So eventually, even if you go to some other location, it really doesn't matter. As I said, IELTS has a set standards. The examiners, I believe, are also changing from one location to another, so it really doesn't matter. If you're aiming for Canada or maybe some other country wherein you are going in healthcare, 8777 score is required. Specifically when it comes to Canada, you need 8777 and you need 8 in listening and 7 in writing, reading, writing and speaking. So I get some students that, oh sir, I got 7 in listening and 8 in reading, and I have 7 in writing and 7 in speaking. Is it good enough? Because it's still kind of 8777. And I said, no, that's not how it works. You specifically need 8 in listening and 7 in rest. So there have been some recent changes in listening. If you can check out your Cambridge 15, they would have removed the example that comes before this listening test actually begins. So there is a sort of example given in before the question starts. So now in the new format you would not find that. They would just start the audio and there's no set of example given there, so you just want to make sure you pay attention. And I don't think it's a big of a change. It's really, the examples really didn't make any sense. They were just there to give you a little heads up, but apart from that, I really don't think that they had any sense, and it's good that they are removed. So you are well aware. If you're doing your mock test, you should be well aware about how you should be giving your listening examination. So not having an example is really not a drawback. So I get this question. This is the highly asked. This is the most asked question by so many students, that when can one be ready for IELTS 8777? So honestly, every individual is different. Every aspirant is different from one another. So I really do not have an answer to this, when can one be ready. But what I believe is you need to follow a strategy. You need to follow right mentors, because if you're under a mentor who has no experience in giving IELTS examination, I'm really not too sure if they can prepare you in the right way. Whereas all the mentors at IELTS 8777 have given IELTS, so we have cracked IELTS with 8 and above bands. So we are trying to guide students in a very strategic way, wherein we can teach them and guide them according to their issues, because every student has different issues. So the answer to this question is very subjective. It depends on student to student, and it depends on the current language skills of the students. So it depends on your education background as well. So when can you be ready? You really it's really hard to say, but let's assume that if you are getting 35 plus in your listening and reading, you're good on an average. So you're getting anywhere about 35 in your listening and reading. When it comes to your writing, your tutor has given you good input, so your tutor can tell you whether or not you're ready. But what I would say is that there are two types of inputs. One is your tutor is trying to rectify your errors, and another is your tutor is giving you inputs about improvisation. So this two inputs from tutors in your writing matters a lot. So when your tutor is giving you more inputs about improvisation and less about your errors, you're kind of getting ready. And eventually, when even the inputs of improvisations are reduced, you're good. So it depends on how you're trained. Same thing is for speaking. If the inputs that your mentor is giving you for improvisation is reduced, and the inputs that they provide you for your errors are reduced, you're pretty much ready. So based on all this scale, you can figure out whether you are ready or not. You have to understand the type of student you are. Basically what I mean to say here is that are you somebody who has got their education in English throughout? Then your basics are pretty much clear. In that case, you can roughly have a training session around say 30 days to 40 days to come up to the level of IELTS. And this is again when your basics are clear. And if you are a student who has not studied throughout an English medium, and I'm specifically talking about the primary education part, which means that your basics may not be as clear and you might need more training as compared to other students. Self-evaluation is the most important part. Every time we train students, they run back to us and they try to figure out where they made mistake. But what we want to teach our students is that the first thing they should do is evaluate their essays, letters, graphs themselves, and then they should show it to us so that we can guide them more appropriately. Because the first thing is that you need to find out your own mistakes yourself. So once you start doing that, you are pretty much on a path of improvisation. Accent in speaking. Wow, well, a lot of people are working hard to get their accent, and I don't think that accent is necessary. In fact, a lot of tutors have already stated that accent is not a mandatory thing in speaking, because all they want is to make sure that you are having proper pronunciation, you are having a proper flow. So don't try to worry about developing an accent. Just try to be normal. Make sure that whatever you're speaking is clear and you are having a proper pronunciation. Rechecking in IELTS. Yay, this is a topic worth discussing at length, but I want to keep it short. You got a 6.5 maybe in writing, or maybe you got 6.5 in speaking, and you think that there's just a difference of 0.5. maybe if I go for rechecking, maybe I would get it. I would say the chances are very scarce, because the difference is of not just 0.5, it's of miles. So difference is really huge, so it can't be possible. I mean, I haven't heard anybody so far who went for rechecking and they got a positive result. So I would say keep away from that. If you got 6.5 in your writing or speaking, that's okay, accept it and just start preparing for your next examination. Eventually, if you go for rechecking, you're gonna spend a lot of money and time. Rather than that, you should start preparing for the next examination. Whatever results are in there are pretty much accurate, so don't opt for it. This is my personal advice to you. Whatever you want to do now from here on, it's up to you, but this is my personal opinion. In reading, a lot of people are not able to figure out the answers, and one of the tips that is there online that everybody's talking about is skimming and scanning. Oh boy, you know what, I'm not a big fan of it. I do not vouch for skimming and scanning. In fact, I think this is something you should not use. Okay, you should not use skimming and scanning. There's a reason why. I'm going to tell you. So what happens is that most of the questions are given in synonyms. So if you look at the questions, your mind is stuck on those specific words, and then when you try to skim and scan, you're trying to find that word. But the fact is, in the passage you would be given synonyms. You would not find that exact word that you had in question, and hence you cannot find the right answer until and unless you read it carefully. So skimming and scanning is not a technique I would recommend. And why would you listen to me? Because I've given IELTS and I've got 8 bands overall. Okay, so hear it from the tiger's mouth or a lion's mouth, what you want to call it, but I'm a person who's given it, and if you want to believe it or not, it's up to you. But this is not a method that I would recommend, and this is not the method I would use, because the answers and questions, they don't have the same words, they have synonyms. And if you go for skimming and scanning, you will just try to find out the words, exact words that are given in the questions, but the answers that are there in the passage are given in the form of synonyms. So unless until you read it carefully, you're not going to get it. Paper based versus computer based, how to choose between them. So say in paper based examination, you do need some legible handwriting. I believe that I had really bad handwriting, and I did have a sort of fear that I would not get good bands because of my handwriting. But yes, it's for sure that you need good and a little bit good. I mean, it should be legible, that's about it. So if you're giving a paper based examination, you should have a legible handwriting. If you're giving a computer based examination, then you should have good typing speed. So make sure that when I'm talking about typing speed, I also mean speed with accuracy, because if you're typing and if you're making a lot of typos, that's a big no. You don't want to do that. So paper based or computer based, you can figure out, you should sit and you should try to write essays and letters on paper, and you should try to write essays and letter on computer, and you can see which one makes you feel more comfortable. So if you think that computer based is more preferable, you should go for computer based, and if you think paper based is more flexible, you should go for paper based. So you can write couple of essays and letter in both computer and your paper on the paper, and you can figure out which one would be best for you. Corona changes. We have some students who have appeared for examinations after the lockdown was lifted up by the government, and there are some changes when it comes to corona. When you reach the venue, your temperature is checked. So in case if you are not feeling well, you should reschedule your examination, because if you think that you just want to go for the examination, even if you're not well, it's a big no. They would probably check your temperature and they would just deny the permission for you to enter into the examination hall. And even when the examination is finished, they'll check your temperature again. So your temperature is checked twice, and this is applicable for both LRW as well as speaking. So and obviously the sanitization part is also there, but yes, there are some additional formalities that have added on after the corona, and the IELTS organizations are taking utmost precautions to make sure that they maintain the hygiene standards and sanitize, use the sanitation methods that are guided by the government. How to improve spelling mistakes, as this is my very big problem for me. Well, either you know the spelling or you don't know spelling. There are two things. So let's suppose you have written an essay and you are proofreading your essay, and then you see a spelling and you know that spelling and you haven't written it properly. So if you know a spelling and you know you haven't written it properly, you will be able to rectify it. So proofreading helps you improvise. But let's suppose you don't know the right spelling and you have made a mistake. In that case, you just go ahead with the wrong spellings. So the only best way is to make sure that you use the vocabulary that you are aware of. Make sure that you are not wasting too much time in writing, and you also need some time to proofread, because if you do not proofread, you might lose some points, you might lose bands because you didn't rectify some errors that might have been in there. How to deal with lengthy multiple choice questions in listening and reading? Well, one of the most important aspects for any module, I would say, it's reading speed. So if you can read efficiently, and if you can read and comprehend everything that is given to you, you should be able to deal with multiple choice questions easily. And the most important part is to make sure that you understand the question. Don't be confused with the choices. Understand the question, read your questions twice, and then you read the choices, and then you jump onto the paragraph in reading, or if it's listening, you kind of make sure you pay attention to the audio. And once you do this, you will be able to grab the answers. The answers will come to you because you should be easily able to grab them if you understand the questions. I'll repeat this again. If you understand the questions, the answers will come to you rather than you running to them. Okay. In case of writing the answers of listening, whether we need to write all in uppercase letter or smaller case capital letter or mix, I would recommend we should write all the answers in capitals rather than worrying about uppercase or lowercase, because whether it's in uppercase or lowercase, like the first letter, it depends on the question itself. So if there is filling the blank, and if it's the first word, let's just take an example. So if it's filling the blank and it's the first word and then there is the statement, then obviously if the answer is to be written over here, then the first letter would be capital. And hence, even if you're talking about some city like say London, then it should be like this. However, I would say don't worry about all this, just write everything in capital, so we do not worry about all these minor things. Just write your answer in capital, that should be fine. And this is for both listening and reading. I have written all my answers in capitals, so yes, you can do that. If you practice this is good enough. True, false, not given is very confusing what to choose. I would say practice is what makes you perfect. We have extensive sessions on how to figure out true, false, not given in our paid coaching program. So I'll just keep this part for those students who are enrolling with us in our paid coaching program, because obviously this is something very easy to do if you practice, but we have made it more easier in our paid coaching programs because we have some techniques that we use in true, false, not given, and it's an effective technique. Yes. What are the specific guidelines for writing in IELTS? I would just keep it short. Look at the writing band descriptors and you will know what are the guidelines for writing in IELTS. Although the writing band descriptors are very extensive, but those are the specific guidelines if you're looking for it. What should be daily schedule for getting 8777? Oh, well, you know what, why don't you check out our recent post? I think we just posted, I think about 5 to 6 days back. We have mentioned specific guidelines on how you should train, what should be your daily schedule if you are aiming for 8777. So if you are having an examination after a month and if you're following that schedule, it's pretty good. You can make sure that you work on all the minute details of all the different modules. So check out our social media, we posted it over there. In case of writing module, whether it is necessary to paraphrase for writing task 1 academic, yes, you should paraphrase it. Sweet and short, you should. The first opening paragraph should be paraphrasing, because you need to make sure that you talk about what the chart indicates. Do you think booking the exam date in prior to preparation, will it impact psychologically in preparation of exam? I mean, we become more serious if we book exam in advance. Please let me know. So this student is asking, is it okay if I book the examination and then prepare? I believe that it depends on what your current preparation looks like. A lot of students think that they should first prepare and then they should book the examination, but there is always a sort of anxiety. You will always have a sort of feeling that you're never ready. So that is always going to be there. But I would say, again, look at your scores. I just talked about a couple of minutes back what are the things you should look into to figure out whether or not you're ready for examination. So those are the indicators which you need to follow, and that will help you understand whether you are ready for the examination or not. I think taking a date always gives you a heads up, because you know that the date is coming and you should work hard, prepare, and make sure you're meeting the minimum required goals that are being guided by and given by the mentors. Or if you think that you're not ready, you just better postpone it maybe for a week or two. But as I said, you know, you have to face your fears, and you should make sure that you give the examination, take a date, work towards it, and just get through with it. Any sequence to follow based on question types, or it all depends on our comfort level, like MCQs, match headings take more time, blank slate, consider time management, which is the best approach to do reading module. I think we recently posted a video related to time management in IELTS. So I would just say, just go according to the flow. And if you really want to work out something on your in your IELTS, the most important factor would be reading speed. There are a couple of ways in which you can improvise your reading speed. We talk about our reading speed at length in our program, wherein we teach students a couple of techniques how they can improvise their reading speed. So just go according to the flow. Don't think which one you need to do first. Just go according to the questions given, look at the questions and try to find the answers in the passage. So the best approach is just going according to the flow. How to start practice, like first which module we have to start? The IELTS examination is in LRW format, so it's listening, reading, writing, and then the speaking is done either 7 days between 7 to 7 days before examination, or after 7 days of examination, anywhere between 1 to 7 days before or after examination. So you should always practice in listening, reading, writing format. So LRW is the format of the actual IELTS examination. So you should practice LRW in sequence as much as possible. Do we need to use more or less commonly used words in writing? As far as possible, yes, you should, but there is no such sort of compulsion. What is more necessary is that you should use more lexical resources, so you should use more synonyms, and as long as your words are not repetitive, you are good. And if you are repeating your words or ideas, then you are in trouble. But as long as you are using different words, even though they are common, it's still okay. You can get 7 out of it. How many contrast or linkers or paraphrase? I just added this. I'm just going to remove this. Yeah. So this was the question asked by one of the students. One of the persons who joined our Q&A session. So he asked that how many contrasts or linkers or paraphrases or complex and compound sentences should he use in essay. But there is no set of number for this, so you shouldn't be worried about the numbers. Like for example, if I say you should be using 4 of these, 6 of these, 4 of these, 3 of these, then you'd be worried about the numbers rather than going according to the flow of the essay. So this question, I believe, is you should obviously have some linkers, paraphrases, complex and compound sentences in the essay, but you should not go with the set of number in mind. You should write according to the flow. You should write according to your ideas, and just give the examination. Don't have these numbers, because if you think that I should use this 6 linkers, 4 phrases, 4 to 5 complex or compound sentences, you're not going to be able to focus on the actual examination. So don't think about all these things. Just focus on the question and the ideas that you develop and how you're going to frame those ideas. I think this is an unclear. Should be used as general for getting sand when. Okay, I don't think this is a question. Does collocation impact in writing, or so basically the person is asking, should we use collocation in writing or speaking both? Yes, of course you should be using it in both. I kind of think that this is an invalid question. So yes, it should be used in both writing and speaking. Several students are finding it very difficult to generate ideas, and they were asking that do they need to refer to some sample essays, or what else do they need to look into to understand how to get good ideas. Now if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you that I don't think a lot of students suffer with getting ideas, but they have issues related to understanding the question. So we have students who are not writing on the topic. They're writing really well, but they are not writing on the topic. So that is a big problem. I think everybody has ideas. We do not run in short of ideas, but let's say if we talk about understanding how to get more ideas, I think we're going to keep a different session for that. But ideas should come naturally to you. And we're going to discuss about generating ideas at length, but let's say if you're talking about a particular topic, we should figure out like for example, let's take genetic engineering foods for example. So if we talk about this particular topic, what can we think? So what are the advantages of genetic engineering of food? So it does increase production, it yields the highest quality of food nowadays. So these are some of the advantages. It's been practiced from long time back. It's not a new thing. It's something I know. And what are the disadvantages? So it's also linked with diseases, abnormalities in childbirth, causes illnesses, reduces the lifespan. So all these things should come to your mind when you think about a particular topic. So how we can work on that can be covered in another session for this, but so far these are the basic questions, and I hope this was helpful to you guys. If you're keen on cracking IELTS with exceptional scores, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Also join our social media where we are posting some really useful content for our followers. Thank you. Bye-bye.